I'm just saying, I'm not saying we're doing this
Alright
year. We're not allowed
guys,
to do
let's get
that.
started.
More studying.
More drinking after.
Welcome to the office prep course. I think everyone knows me. I'm Taylor Johnson. I'm VP
Wait, who are
of
you?
Aitp. You know that. Let's go over what the parts of the contest for the office are going to be. We've got Word, Access, Excel, and PowerPoint. Now, pretty much everyone here should be a Word and PowerPoint wizard by now, so we're probably going to completely skip doing any of that in the prep course. We're going to primarily, on these prep courses, we're going to focus on PowerPoint and Access. Go ahead, next. Today, we're going to study Access, which is probably everyone's favorite part of the Office suite.
We say it
Collective sigh, 1, 2, 3, everyone go. Okay. Let's move on. Alright, first let's go over some tactics for what we're going to be doing during the competition. You're allowed 1 to 2 people, so I suggest getting a teammate because the problem statement from Nationals was 9 pages long and there was 7 deliverables that you had to give them. So that's not fun. Remember to separate the work. There's 2 of you for a reason. That's why they allow 2 people. Access is the most time consuming, so remember that. So whoever each team needs to have an Access and Ninja on it. Someone that's just going to handle Access and maybe some Excel. At the beginning of the contest, both of y'all read the problem statement because they're really long and you can miss some little details that might make or break your competition. Both of y'all read it and then decide, split up the work evenly between the 2 of you. Planning isn't a waste of time. A lot of people just get in there and just start with number 1 and then they find out like problem 3 that they need to do something and they have to go back. It just takes a lot of time. Like I said, have an Access Ninja on your team, someone that's just dedicated to Access. Move on. Alright, and then the things we're going to go over tonight are import, export, external data. So data from like a text file or an Excel sheet, how to get that in as a table in Access, and then forms. Hannah's going to go over forms and data queries, and then we'll end with relationships between tables and then some reports. Next. All right. Cool. All right. So at Nationals, they had you do some office, like Microsoft Word, like a flyer for the first part of the thing. Everyone knows how to do that. So we're going to skip over to the actual database part for Excel. They made you start from scratch. They don't give you a starter file most of the time for Access, so which means most of the time they're going to give you some stuff to import or export. So I'm going to show y'all how to import 2 different files, one from Excel and one from a text file. So that way if y'all see it, you'll be able to do it when we get to the competition. So this is the Access. What we're going to do is go to external data, and now we're under the import export link area. We're going to click Excel, and I'm going to browse to where I'm keeping my Excel file that I want to import. And so I want to import student names, and I'm going to press OK. Now, when you import it, you're going to see right here that it's not making automatically the title of that column. So you're going to click the button above it. First row columns are the headings now. Hit Next. And now, in this section, after you hit Next, this is really important. If they give you some kind of like say they tell you to import it and then they want you to change this to a short integer or a long integer, or they want you to change, let's say, student ID. We need to make sure that's a long integer because a short integer, they're going to run out of numbers in the database. So you always want to make sure whatever your primary key is going to be a long integer. That means it can be, Andrew, how much is a long integer?
Really long.
Really long, right?
But they run in, they've actually done that before in real life, so.
make sure it's along in here when you build tables.
A lot of companies do that, and they just spend a whole lot of time rebuilding their
Yeah,
database.
it's not possible. They have to shut down everything.
Okay, and
So
now,
right.
after you hit next, after you make whatever data type changes you're going to do, whatever the problem statement tells you to do, next part is you got to make a primary key. Automatically, Access is going to make an auto-generated key for you. Sometimes they don't want that. They want you to import the key that they already gave you inside the Excel file. So to do that,
you're going to choose my own primary key. That's the second option. Let's just go with student ID for now.
now it's going to want you to name the table that you're going to be importing. So let's name it student table. And don't ever save the import steps. It just makes the file bigger than it needs to be. Unless they tell you to do it.
So now we have this little sidebar that says tables under the objects, and then you have your student table.
So now you see Walter White, Jesse Pinkman, Snow, Tony Stark, Bruce Wayne, Indy Jones, and Luke Skywalker up there are students. Next, so that's Excel. Does anyone have any questions on how to import an Excel file? No.
Does everybody understand, like, y'all have all taken your first CIS class? Do you have any freshmen? No? Okay, awesome. So we all know what Access is.
This is probably just going to be a quick overview
Yeah.
of most of the stuff. And don't want to waste anyone's time here.
Right.
Okay, Hannah, why don't we go back through the import statement now and do a text file.
So you went to external data and you clicked on.
All right, so since we're importing a text file, we're going to click text file.
Yeah.
And now you're going to navigate to wherever they gave you a text file. Usually they're going to give you all these things at the beginning of the contest, and you'll just save them on a flash drive or save them in a folder on your
They'll
desktop.
either have like a website or they'll have somewhere, like some source point, where you can download them on your flash drive.
So
or your computer.
now we're going to pull in a text file. Okay, so that's what the text file would look like. It's just a bunch of garbled stuff separated by commas. So we're going to make sure it says automatically it's going to be delimited. Make sure it's that way, and then hit next. Same thing as before, you want to check first row contains field names, and that way you get your column headings. And then depending on how the data was separated, you want to choose one of the tabs, semicolon, comma, space, or other. I separated all the data in that table by a comma, so we're going to hit next. Same thing as before, make sure your ID is going to be a long integer. Make sure you change anything that needs to be changed. I'm going to choose my own key, teacher ID, next. Make that teacher table. We're not going to save the import steps, and now we got a teacher table with Rick Grimes, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and JJ Watt as our teachers.
Only. I'm blind. Hold on. So we're going to go to the Create tab, and click on the Create tab. And then there's a little button that says Form. You're going to create a new form. And then one thing that you have to remember before you create a form, which I didn't do, is if you want multiple teachers on the same form, or if you just want one form for one teacher, you have to select that. So I just made a form for Rick Grimes, but if you go back to the teacher table, you can click on any of these guys, or multiple, I think.
Does anyone want to see the actual problem
Does
statement?
that thing work?
Could you
You
email it
can
to
pass
us?
it around.
Why don't we all go
was gonna say,
to
does that
go to Google real quick?
We're going to the Nationals.
Go to the and then type in AITP space NCC space contest. and then it's going to be the first link under there. And that's going to pull up all the contests that they compete at nationals. Click the Microsoft Office solutions on the left-hand side, and then scroll down, you'll see past problem statements. This has the last 3 years problem statements and the answers.
How do you say to look it up? Aitp what?
Aitp space NCC space contest. Yeah, or the contest page. And then you're going to hit Microsoft Office.
There we go.
Should we keep going now? Keep going. Past problems, I mean, just ask them.
Okay, so that site, scroll down. That site has the last 3 years worth of problem statements from NCC. If y'all want to look at each of those problem statements, you can. The national ones, like I said, are usually harder. Most people do not finish. It's based on who got the farthest. Like when me and Shelby competed last year, we got pretty far. I didn't finish the access part, but she got stuck because the way we didn't separate out our problem, we didn't separate out the work right. And so sometimes there's things that are dependent on each other. Like you had to have completed the database before you could start the Excel file. You needed it. So I always suggest work on the Excel and Access first. The other stuff, the superficial PowerPoint and the Word are barely worth any points on the grading rubric. They're usually just used as tiebreakers in case someone does actually get through the Access and the. They look at the actual size of your data file before they even open it or grade it. They are looking at how big it is, and then if they see someone who isn't close to what the real problem should be, they don't even open it to grade it. Because you got to think there's 600 of them that they got to go through. So they're real picky. Like you got to make sure you have all 7 deliverables. Make sure you make them. Even if, let's say, even if you didn't get to the Word part or you didn't get to the PowerPoint part, open up PowerPoint, write a bunch of gobbledygook, and save it. At least so that way it looks like those slides are full. How the contests are usually split up. First part's going to be a bunch of stuff you have to read to get a little background on the competition. Usually it's based on whatever city you're in. So let's say we're going to Lawton. The only thing they're known for is domestic violence and
Yeah, so bring your pepper spray.
Indian casinos.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be something about a casino in
I'm
there,
gonna get a knife.
most likely. You got to read through this junk real quick and just skim over it because most of the time the big statement up front is just story to just give you some kind of context of why you're doing
You
it.
use it in the flyer.
You use it in the flyer.
Like
pretty
this
much.
one, you had to do like facts about Coke, and you just had to use the facts that they listed up.
So
at
if
the
you
top.
look at deliverable 1 and 2 under that PDF, you're going to see a marketing flyer. That's going to be done in Word.